Alrighty, hello YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cryptic Coil, but for those of you who do know me, this is part two of my epic horror book haul. And it's mostly been horror. Is there anything in here that's not? Jungle Rama. Everything else is either horror or horror adjacent. Yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and jump into this adult portion of the epic horror haul. All right, so I have a Riley Sager book called The Only One Left. Now, I have another one of Riley Sager's books, and it's called Final Girl. I saw one of my coworkers, and I know that she watches some booktubers, and she always has a book. I see her read at work every day. And the other day I asked her, I said, what's she reading now? And she shows me, and I said, oh, I have one of their books called Final Girl. And then they told me, yeah, I think that was Riley Sager's first novel. And I said, do you have it? And my coworker said no. And I said, do you want to borrow it when you're done with that one? And she said, yeah, I would actually. So when she was done with this book, she just came and left it on my desk. She was just like, it's yours. You can have it. I hope you enjoy it. So then I brought her my Final Girl book. She read it. She returned it to me because she's not a book collector. So when she's done reading a book, she just gives them away. And for Old School April, one of the books that I've read was Welcome to Dead House. And when I was done with it, I brought it to her and I was like, she goes, I've never read a Goosebumps book, because she's like, older. Like, she's not a millennial. So she was definitely too old to be reading Goosebumps when they first came out. But she read Welcome to Dead House and she really liked it and she brought it back. All right. So also in hardback, I found this one, and it's called Mr. Be Gone by Clive Barker. And look at how much they charged me at Savers. $4.49. Okay, the books at the thrift stores are getting more and more expensive. So yeah, I've never heard of this one, but it's nice that I have it in the collection now. So, all right, and then I have one more hardback, and again, $4.49. But it's Joe Hill's Heart-Shaped Box. And the only other one of his books that I have is Nosferatu. But I have a coworker who's read this one and loved it, so I went ahead and picked it up too. I'm not going to read the synopsis on this one, but I found two Richard Laymon books in this haul. And it was awesome because I didn't have either one, and one of them is the one that I've been wanting the most. So this one is called Endless Night. And let's read the synopsis on the back. Jody is pretty tough for a 16-year-old girl. That's the only reason she's still alive. For now. She was sleeping over at her friend Evelyn's house when a group of killers broke in and tried to slaughter everyone. She saw Evelyn spitted on a spear, but Jody managed to escape, along with Evelyn's little brother Andy. Simon was one of the killers that gruesome night. His friends have left it up to him to find the only living witnesses to their massacre, or else they'll butcher his family next. But Simon has his own reasons for wanting to get his hands on Jody. All right, so this sounds good. All of his books sound good. But the one that I was really excited to find was Island. And the reason why is because I've seen a number of people ranking the Richard Laymon books that they've read, and Island always seems to be in people's top three. So I was like, wow, Island is like consistently one of the best ones. So I really want to get that one. And I finally found it today, and I was just so happy when I did. I'm glad I, got this one from the thrift store, instead of some schmuck. So let's see. There is not a tagline on the front, just the typical Stephen King blurb. But let's go ahead and read this synopsis. When Rupert Conway set out on a cruise with 7 other people, he planned to swim a little, get some sun, and relax. He certainly didn't plan to get shipwrecked. But after the yacht blew up, that's what happened. He and his shipmates were stranded on a deserted island. Luckily for them, the island has plenty of fresh water and enough food to last until they get rescued. And luckily for Rupert, most of his fellow castaways are attractive women. I'm not going to lie, that sounds like a good time. But that's where his luck ran out. Uh-oh. Because the castaways aren't alone on the island. In the dense jungle beyond the beach, there's a maniac on the loose, a killer with a murderous heart, a clever mind, and a taste for blood. He doesn't like his new neighbors, and he plans to slaughter them all, one by one. Geez, that sounds good. I hope I get to read this one this summer, because this sounds like a great summer read. Endless Night sounds good too, though. So I picked up a Barbara Michaels book, and I know I have one of her other books, but I know that she doesn't always write horror. She might write like horror adjacent, but this one sounded good. It's just called Witch. There's a black cat on on the cover. No tagline on the front. She's got a blurb from Mary Higgins Clark. Here's what the synopsis says on the back, though. A silent stranger moves in twilight shadows. It was more than her dream house. For Ellen March, buying the secluded old house nestled in the pine woods marked the start of a new life. But she could put her failed marriage behind her, enjoy the quiet solitude of small town life, and get to know her worldly new neighbor, handsome Norman McKay. But strange visions began to cloud her mind. The shadowy figure of a woman, a ghostly white cat, and Ellen's safe haven slowly became her prison. Had she buried the past, or had a dark legend come back to haunt her? Which? I don't. That doesn't sound as good as I thought. I'm not itching to read that one. But this was cool because so this is a charter horror. I've never heard of charter horror. This is my first charter horror, but great looking cover and great title. Okay, the author's name is Michael Payne, and the title is The Colors of Hell. I mean, that's pretty metal. All right, here's the cover. No tagline on the front, but it does say by the author of Cities of the Dead and Owl Light. So let's read the synopsis. Charlotte Alderson came to Morocco in search of her long-lost sister, but what she found there in the strange, desolate mountains was something she never imagined, something miraculous and horribly powerful, the colors of hell, an ancient mystery in stained glass, forged in the very blood of the saints, an age-old power that could cure or curse all that is human. A sacred cult of women devoted to guarding heaven's greatest secret and hell's darkest fury. All right, so And Charlotte Alderson will learn the terrifying truth. No one comes this close to God without also finding the devil. So this sounds like this could be a really good religious horror book. Okay, based on the cover and the spine, I can tell that the book has been read at least once. But it's still in great collector's copies. So I don't want to mess this up. I want to get online, buy another copy, then I'll read it. All right. Then I found a zebra horror book. I love finding zebra horror books, okay? And this one is called Witches by Catherine Meyer Griffith. And the tagline on the front reads, "They are everywhere." And it ties into the title, to the title, Witches. They are everywhere. Great looking cover. See on the spine? Zebra horror. All right. So here's the synopsis on the back. White magic. Amanda Givens uses her powers with great care. The people of Canaan, Connecticut, would not welcome a witch among them, even a white witch, a good witch. For years, she has lived quietly in a remote cabin with Amadeus, her feline familiar. But when an evil coven filled with creatures from the depths of hell torments Canaan with unspeakable horrors and brutal slayings, Amanda knows she can hide no longer. She is the one they are after, and she is the only one who can stop the terror. Black magic. Ever since fanatical witch hunters consigned her to an eternity of fury, Rachel Cox has been waiting for her chance to come back to life. Now, centuries later, the time is right. Amanda is all that stands between her and her unholy vengeance. Flanked by the forces of darkness, Rachel is ready to unleash all the horror at her command. Geez, that sounds good. Okay, that sounds way better than the Barbara Michaels one. Okay. Then I picked up a Robert R. McCammon book called Bethany's Sin. And the tagline on the front reads, "When night rides into the village, no man dares walk out alone." And that's what the cover looks like. So let's go ahead and read the synopsis. In a mad stampede, they storm the tree-lined streets and wield their wrath upon their ancient enemy. On the thundering hooves of demon steeds, the killing evil blazes through Bethany's Sin. The riders of the night possess a power that spans the ages. They burn with a rage that knows no mercy, no forgiveness. They are cunning, hard, implacable, and men are their only prey. That's it. I kind of want to know more. Is this horror? Does anybody know anything about this? Is it worth my time? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you. All right. So, I have one of this guy's other books. It's called The Sisterhood. His name is Michael Palmer. I guess he has a YouTube channel. And, I guess he writes like medical horror. So this is a Goodwill find, which means I need to goog on the stickers off. But this one is called The Patient, and I believe it's one of his more popular books. I haven't read it, so let's go. And I just found it today, so let's go ahead and read the synopsis on the back. Neurosurgeon Jesse Copeland works at the very frontier of neurosurgery, developing technology that could revolutionize the treatment of brain tumors. but her work brings her to the attention of an infinitely dangerous man. Claude Meloque is brilliant, remorseless, a terrorist without regard for human life. He is also ill with a brain tumor considered to be inoperable. Nothing can stop Meloque from getting to the woman he believes can cure him. For those caught in his path, the nightmare has just begun, and no one is more aware of the stakes than Jesse Copeland. In brain surgery, there are no guarantees, but that's exactly what Meloque demands. With disaster just one cut away, Jessie faces the most harrowing case of her life, and the price of failure may be thousands of lives. That doesn't really sound like a horror book. It sounds more like a thriller. I mean, no, that does sound like horror, but I'll call it horror because if he's threatening thousands of lives, unless this woman works some kind of miracle, yeah, that's a horror scene. That's pretty horrific. Okay. All right. So I got two more adult horror books for you. All right. So this is a Dell horror. Or no, this is an Abyss Dell horror. And ever since Alex the Bookubus made that one like top 10 favorite Abyss Dell horror books, I've finally started to find some out in the wild. I The only one that I ever had before she made that video was one. It was like a compilation of short stories called Meta Horror, and then I found that book twice. So I have a collector's copy, and then I used the duplicate as my reading copy. But that was the only Abyss Dell horror book I had ever found in all my years of collecting and doing book hauls on this channel. But ever since Alex made that one video, I finally started to sporadically find Abyss Dell horror books out in the wild. And this one is by Rick R. Reed, and it's called Obsessed. Now, I've never heard of this one, so let's go ahead and find out what it's about together. The tagline on the front reads, "Beyond good and evil, beyond all control." And again, that's what the cover looks like. And the synopsis on the back reads, "I kill, therefore I am." I mean, that's pretty metal. All right, so voices go slamming through the corridors of his wounded mind. The words of his dead sister cry out to him. His parents' taunts fill the silent room where he sits and waits for the murderous urge to come washing over him, filling him with strength, driving him to kill, to touch the cold flesh, taste the warm blood, to feel alive again. A witness has seen him, but his killing only turns her on, and now she wants to protect him. His wife suspects him, but the private detective she hired cannot stop him. Joe fears nothing drives him to his bloodletting is relentless. Joe fears nothing except that he may no longer be human. The thirst that drives him to his bloodletting is relentless, moving deeper and deeper and deeper into his own shattering private realm, where each murder is a delirious new gift of life, where revulsion is beauty, and the obsession will never let him go. That sounds good. And it's just shy of 400 pages. It's 392 pages. Yeah, that sounds good. All right, and I got one more for you. And hang on. I want to see what year this came out for. "1991. Wow, this is in excellent condition. This is in near mint condition. I mean, I could even call it mint. Wow. All right. And then I found a tour horror book by Charles L. Grant. Now, the only Charles L. Grant book that I have is a compilation of short stories edited by him. But this one is called The Pet. And there's no tagline on the front, so let's just look at this cover again. That's a good looking cover. The synopsis on the back reads, "The village of Ashford, New Jersey, is about to discover Terror, the Howler, a bloody killer who has already shredded 6 teens, is moving in. 17-year-old Don Boyd doesn't need the grief. He's already under siege. Jock trouble, girl trouble, school trouble, family trouble. Then one frosty autumn night, Don is jumped by the Howler. Suddenly they're surrounded by fog, green fire, the sound of iron striking iron, and Ashford's real horror begins." That sounds pretty good. Let's find out what. First printing June 1986. First mass market printing May 1987. So this book was printed in 1987. I was born in 1986. Technically, this is a birthday shelf book. Tour horror. I love finding tour horror books. Yeah, so anyway, I think that this was a pretty good adult haul. I was really happy with the two Richard Laymon, the two Richard Laymon books. I was, I really look forward to reading this heart-shaped box book. I need to find out what this Clive Barker book is all about because I've never heard of it. And my coworker really loved this one. She liked this one better than Final Girls. Final Girls sounds good to me, but my coworker liked this one better. So I do look forward to reading that. I was really excited that I found this tour horror by Charles L. Grant. I was kind of excited for a minute when I found this Robert R. McCammon book because I'd never heard of it. But it doesn't sound... Is it horror? The Michael Palmer book sounds okay. But this zebra horror, Witches, sounds incredible. This charter horror, The Colors of Hell, sounds so good. Yeah, so I was very pleased with this adult haul. All right, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. Horns up and peace out.